Today, I wanted to do a head-to-head comparison with my one and only GoPro 11, as well as the Nikon Z30, which I'm using right now. And I'm going to put them head-to-head to see which one do you actually recommend, which one I would actually buy, and it ultimately depends on what exactly you're looking for. But what camera is better? When it comes to action cameras, the GoPro has been a long household name. The Nikon Z30 itself is a newer player, where it is definitely worth considering if you're in the market for a new camera. On one hand, you have the vlogger, and on the other hand, you have an action camera person. So why is the Nikon Z30 better than the GoPro Hero 11 Black? First and foremost, the Nikon Z30 has a much larger image sensor. This means that it's able to capture much more light and detail, resulting in higher quality photos and videos. In addition, the Z30 has a wider dynamic range, meaning that it can capture greater range of tones and colors in a single image and video. This is especially useful for situations where there are extreme differences in light and shadow, such as when shooting outdoors in bright sunlight or in low light conditions. As you can see, the Nikon Z30 has much more of a higher dynamic range where you can see that the darks are darks and the lights are lights, and having that contrast, the camera itself does not have any issue. Whereas me shooting with the GoPro 11, having this shoot indoors, you can see why every single GoPro commercial is filmed outdoors. Well, the minute that you have very low light, at the same time backlight, you can start to see the tremendous grain and the low light poor performance of the GoPro 11. This is why you need to consider the huge sensor size, image size, and that makes a difference in choosing what camera you want. The huge advantage of having a GoPro is that it's over compact ability as well as action cam focus. This means that the GoPro 11 has much better stabilization because it is meant to be put on bikes and helmets, and it has its own proprietary stabilization, things like boost, hyper boost, whereas the Nikon Z30 only has lens optical stabilization, BR, whereas there's off, on, and sport mode. But as you can see, with the overall stability of the GoPro 11, the GoPro has a much better internal body image stabilization mechanism in comparison to the Nikon Z30. In terms of video quality, the Nikon Z30 also has an edge over the GoPro Hero 11 Black. It can shoot 4K video at 60 frames per second, whereas the GoPro, although it shoots 10-bit 5.2K frames per second, 30 frames, this means that the Nikon Z30 can capture just a much better and crisper and higher quality video and photo, just due to the sheer image sensor size alone. So what we have so far is the Nikon Z30, of course, image quality, every aspect, high dynamic range, you have the Nikon Z30. Stabilization so far, we have the GoPro Hero 11. The Nikon Z30 also has a longer battery life than the GoPro Hero 11 Black. This is especially useful if you're planning on using your camera for long periods of time, such as during a day-long hike or a multi-day adventure. Whereas for battery life, I would say these two cameras are pretty much very similar, where you can film an hour on the GoPro, but then you're quickly to see that, hey, you're gonna need another battery. Whereas the Nikon Z30 has a little bit longer of a battery life. I am having both my cameras in the most horrendous lighting situation with just my ceiling light and no audio jack whatsoever. The furnace is going off, but as you can see, just having these two cameras, which quality is better, right? On one hand, you have a much bigger sensor size, equivalent to that of the bigger engine. Bigger engine means more power. But with things like the GoPro, its advantages is the image stabilization. It is so much better in comparison to just having the vibration reduction within the lens that the Nikon Z30 has. But as you can see in the quality, the dynamic range of the overall Nikon Z30 does a lot better, even though it's at ISO 6400 in comparison to the GoPro Hero 11 Black, where I guarantee you, if I turn off the light right now, right, what's going to happen? What is going to happen with Nikon Z30 in comparison to my GoPro? Okay, let's turn back on the light because I think that just might have destroyed the video quality. But having something that's so compact though, it's like you have to figure out exactly what it is that you are filming. So think about this, if I'm out in the wild and 1,000 motorbikes around me, for example in Vietnam, I'm gonna get pickpocketed if I was carrying something like this, right? In comparison, if I was just holding my little GoPro right here in my hand, no one can really see, and I'm just talking to my hand right now, right? And the fact that how easy it is to go like that and vlog. So you have very easy accessibility to what you're filming, as well as, you can't do that so much with Nikon Z30, where there's much pros and cons you need to consider. Do you plan on traveling? Do you like the compactability? If you had to go head to head, Nikon Z30 wins, but why not get both? Overall, the Nikon Z30 is a formidable camera in this day and age when it comes to YouTube vlogging. The Nikon Z30 does better in every single way, where you have an articulating LCD screen, a 20.1 megapixel sensor, APS-C, 4K, 120 frames slow motion, and the beautiful quality that it can actually produce. In comparison, where the GoPro Hero 11 Black does every single video quality that the Nikon Z30 has, but as you can see, at a much lower resolution. But the fact that the GoPro is such a point-and-shoot camera, very compact, where it is just a fraction of the size of the Nikon Z30, it can appeal to the very vlogger entry-level requirements, where you don't have to worry about setting up the camera, setting up the shot, where all you can do, pick it up, point, done, talk to yourself, because there is a front LCD screen, point and go, and you're good for content. Whereas the Nikon Z30 is a little bit of a bigger form factor, where you have to set up your camera, set it down, tinkle with the settings, and see, what I'm talking about now. And of course, you're also looking at a higher profile. What I mean by that is people will be looking at you a lot more with this setup in comparison to just the little GoPro setup, just like this. So what I recommend for having a travel camera setup is the Nikon Z30 itself. Of course, better qualities in every single way, beats the GoPro in almost every aspect, except for things like image stabilization and compactability. So what I would do for the Nikon and this setup is my Nikon Z30 would actually be my main talking head camera, where as you can see right now, no problems with dynamic range, no problems with the overall quality, 4K, for not 10-bit, 8-bit, this shoots 10-bit, but you're getting exactly what you're paying for. So after some use of using the GoPro 11 is that I can start to see and only question the quality of the GoPros of the before models, where I have the newest quality now with the GoPro, but as you can see, just filming this at home, is that the dynamic range is really bad, low light is horrendous, even if you put the best quality settings on this camera. But what I do like about it, it is so compact, and the fact that I am shooting 4K, and the fact that I just turn it on, done, here, vlog, done, that sense of ease might be catered towards a specific travel vlogger, right? How I don't need to worry about, can this fit in this bag? I just literally put this in my pocket, I'm good to go. Whereas the disadvantage of having Nikon Z30 is that it is a little 4 times bigger. So that's something to consider. These two cameras, it's me comparing apples to oranges. You both need these for different types of environments. If you're going just to be at home, then probably the GoPro is not for you. You're more likely to have doing something better with the Nikon Z30. But if you're a travel vlogger, you want to set your A cam, the GoPro as a B cam is the perfect duo. I recommend both these cameras. This is more if you're vlogging. I would actually vlog more with this than the Nikon Z30. You'd be surprised why. And if you want to check out both these cameras that I just talked about, link is in the description below. Help me help you. And stay tuned, guys. You're watching Broke Visionary Collective. make sure you grab all my resources in the description below. My name's Peter, and I'll see y'all in the next one. We all start with nothing, but you can always create something. Cheers, guys.